Welcome back, guys. Today I want to talk about whether BMW is now more reliable than a Toyota. And to many of you watching this video might seem insane, right? How could a BMW be more reliable to a Toyota? And then there's another side of people to which this is a very legitimate question, because BMW has improved a lot since about 2015 or so, and they really think that BMW now can compete with the likes of Toyota. So where do I sit on this? I want to get into it, guys, and I'm going to use some Consumer Report surveys as well and my experience with both brands, because I've been in both brands, I understand the brands, and we'll get to the bottom of this. Now, first of all, guys, we all as humans have biases, especially in a video about reliability, right? Reliability isn't a truly objective metric, right? Because there's going to be varied experiences. There's various models. Someone driving a Toyota Camry could think they've got the most reliable Toyota, and then someone else might be in a Toyota Tundra, a new Tundra or a new Tacoma, have had to do their transmission, and they might think Toyota is the worst brand ever. I'm going to try to stay as unbiased as possible. I'm a car enthusiast, and to be frank, I love both brands. I love all brands. So first of all, the question I asked at the very start, why would some people think BMW is more reliable than Toyota? And this is usually more in the enthusiast community, right? And the reason for that, guys, is BMW in the mid-2000s were going through a very tough time. They created some horrible engines, right? If you were touching the N20 or the N26 engine, 4-cylinder, you might have thought that you're getting into a nice basic entry-level BMW. Well, they had timing chain issues outside of warranty because of the plastic timing chain guides. Then you had the 6-cylinders, the N54. The N54 engine was brutal, guys. It wouldn't make itself outside of warranty, right? Multiple recalls, lawsuits, high pressure fuel pump, low pressure fuel pump, Vanos, bunch of leaks, oil leaks, coolant leaks, excessive oil consumption. Pretty much anything apart from the engine block would go wrong on that engine. Then you had the N63 motor, I think one of my least favorite BMW motors, V8 twin turbo. Again, massive issues, valve stem seals, turbo failure, excessive oil consumption. Another one that had a bunch of lawsuits. BMW had to make a customer care plan, wouldn't make outside of warranty. S63 motor, which was based on the N63. Then you had the S65 and the S85, the V8 and V10. They were actually really good inside of warranty, but as we all found out, outside of warranty, they were terrible cars to own. Then you had the first generation N55 BMW motor, which was an improvement on the N54 reliability wise, but it didn't really go far enough, and in some ways it went backwards. Finally, BMW headed towards the N55 EWG motor, right? And I said N20 and N26s were pretty poor, but look, N26 near the end was quite an improved engine. So BMW got into that era where they were starting to get pretty good. I think all BMW had to do from that point is improve just a little bit more, and they weren't going to be Toyota, but they were going to be good enough for a German manufacturer, right? We're not expecting Toyota levels of reliability or Japanese levels of reliability from BMW, Audi, and Mercedes, because when you buy those cars, you're buying them for a different reason. I know that, and the buyers should know that, right? Especially in the used market. They're performance, luxury, innovation, tech focused brands. Toyota is a durability focused brand first and foremost. But regardless, BMW just had to improve a little bit and they would be good, and they did, guys, right? They came out with the B series motor, and the diesel engine was amazing. And then they took, because of modularization, they took their petrol engine, based it on the diesel engine, and the rest is history, right? The B58 was born, which, if you go online, is the holy grail for tuners and car owners alike. They love the B58. So that's kind of the history where the B58 came out around the 2015. And at that time, people were still a bit hesitant about BMW because they'd been suffering all the way through, right? Pretty much from the mid-2000s to 2015, very tumultuous decade. People had been suffering a lot. And the B58 came out, and everyone sort of knew that these diesel and these new petrol engines were good, but obviously they were still under warranty. Of course they're going to be good under warranty pretty much, right? It's that outside of warranty period that people were thinking about. And then 2020 came, 2021 came along, and people realized that these motors weren't blowing up, right? Because BMW's biggest issue was rod bearings, right? A lot of times BMWs, the entire engine would go, right? Transmission here and there, but the engine was a huge issue. They had that on the S54, pretty much on most of their motors that are unreliable. They've had bottom end issues. And time went on and people realized that these B58s were not blowing up on them. Thus, the hype was born, and thus BMW's reliability and the reputation was born. On the opposite end, guys, Toyota over time has just been a very durable manufacturer, and they've been making really nice cars throughout the 90s and the 2000s. Now, there was an era with Toyota where they had to face some recall issues, and Toyota's always had to deal with recall issues. It's not a perfect brand. So much so that Akio Toyoda had to go to Congress and apologize for the issue. People died because of Toyota's QA issues. So there was a time in the 2000s where Toyota was also lacking. And in fact, it caused Ford to release an advert to say Ford is as reliable as Toyota now, right? Toyota was really down on the ground. Because of that whole thing, they learned and they improved and they went on a massive run, right? While the Germans were in their dark era, Toyota was booming. They went on a massive run. And then Toyota started to enter the sports car territory around 2012, 2013. They'd been planning it for a while because Akio Toyoda said no more boring cars. And they entered the sports car territory with the likes of the Toyota 86 Scion FRS, with the likes of the Subaru BRZ, which was a partnership by the two brands. Now, Toyota obviously owns a stake in Subaru, and the low center of gravity of the Subaru Boxer motors and a few other factors, mostly financially driven, in my opinion, allowed those brands to partner together and create Toyota's rear-wheel drive sports car, something that they didn't have in the 2000s, right? And a lot of people say to me, well, no, they had Lexus RCF and the ISF and they were still doing that. Well, Lexus was doing that, and those products, they aren't really true down-to-earth sports car products. They're very much luxury products, which I don't really consider a Toyota effort. So I think really where Toyota started to enter the game was around 2012, 2013 with these GT86 cars. And then they kept going, and then they got into the Toyota Supra. Because they partnered with BMW, they had a memorandum of understanding, together created the Supra. Now, the Toyota Supra was, in my mind, a 95% BMW effort. It's got a BMW motor, BMW chassis, BMW gearbox. Everything pretty much about the car is BMW. It's made in the Magnaster factory next to the Z4. And I think the 86 and the Supra projects were a decline for Toyota. And there's a couple reasons. One, I don't think Subaru is as reliable as Toyota, and it's backed up by reliability metrics and ownership experiences, and I've experienced this as well. So Toyota was going into this territory where they were giving up their bread and butter, which was reliability, and chasing sports models. So that happened, but the Supra has proven itself to be quite a reliable vehicle, generally speaking, because it's got that B58 power and the ZF8 transmission, which are great gearboxes. And now we head to the current gen, where Toyota has started to get into its own models, right? I've got the Toyota GR Yaris here, G16E GTS, which is a rally-built motor under Toyota's Gazoo Racing division. It's built in the Motomachi factory where the Lexus LFA was built, and the LC500 is built by Master Takumi's. So they really brought that sports in-house. They're doing the same with the GR Corolla, and now they're discontinuing the Supra, and they're going to make that their own project as well. And at the same time, they've released the Toyota Tacoma and the Toyota Tundra. Both models suffer from issues. There's transmission issues, there's engine issues where Toyota left a bunch of debris in the engine, and that circulated through the engine and caused the engines to effectively blow up. Can't have metal shavings and particles in your engine. It'll destroy your rod bearings, it'll destroy your turbos, etc. BMW has been chasing reliability and trying to get up on its feet, and Toyota has been chasing the sports car and trying to inject some fun. And I think they've gone in different directions, right? BMW has gone in the more reliability focused direction, and Toyota has perhaps sacrificed reliability to get more tech, innovation, and to get into more of a sports car field. They've had to go into turbo motors and have had to step out of their comfort zone. The BZ4X Toyota, which is an all-electric vehicle, something that Toyota don't enjoy doing. They like sticking to hybrids, but they've had to do that. So finally, where does that bring BMW and Toyota? And this is the crux of my video in terms of who's more reliable. BMW isn't and never has been more reliable than Toyota on average. Now, you might have a BMW model, you might have bought a Tundra or a Tacoma and your engine blew up or your gearbox went. You might have a BMW parked and that was fine. So for you, those specific models, yes, one may be more reliable than the other. But on aggregate, if you compare the entire range, Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Corolla Crosses, whatever the case is, BMW as a brand has never been more reliable than a Toyota. And speaking to owners, the B58, the B48 engines, they are great engines. The transmissions are great. I love the ZF transmissions, but they all have their issues, just like all BMWs always have had. There's coolant issues, oil leaks. BMW has done quite well. It's gone away from a lot of gaskets, a lot of the low quality gaskets, but there's still a lot of plastic usage in those vehicles. And there's a bunch of coolant issues in B48 and B58 V58 powered engines. ZF transmissions generally are pretty good, though they can whine, which I've experienced myself as well. Do I think Toyota is as reliable as it used to be? No. I've owned Toyotas for a long time. I've driven older Camrys, newer Camrys, whatever the case is, and I definitely think that Toyota is not the Toyota of old. Even though it isn't, relatively speaking, it's still more reliable than a BMW.